In this video, we're going to solve question 35 of the 2021 Junior Mathematics Olympiad first round. We're asked to think of a number and then double it and add 5 and then perform some other operations, and finally we're asked to say whether the answer will always be even or always be odd or always be a multiple of 3, 5 or 6. So let's follow with the operations that they described here. So they said we should think of a whole number. So let's say we think of a number x. In the next step, we're asked to double it and add 5. So we're going to double the number that we have, that's 2x, and add 5, which is 2x plus 5. Then we're asked to double this answer again and add 2. So here we're going to have 2 times the previous answer we got. That's 2 into 2x plus 5 and add 2 at the end. And this will be 4x plus 2 times 5 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So we have 4x plus 12 here. And finally, we're asked to take away the original number. And that will mean that we'll have 4x plus 12. That's the previous answer minus the original number, which is x, to give us 3x plus 12. So if we start with the number x, we're going to end up with 3x plus 12. Then they're asking us to decide whether this number will always be even or always be odd or always be a multiple of 3 or 5 or 6. So let's look at each case one by one. So let's start with the first one, option A. So will this number always be even? That's the number 3x plus 12. So if x is odd, then 3x2 will be odd. So I'll write as 3x will be odd. So if x is odd, 3x will be odd too, since we're going to be multiplying two odd numbers by each other. So 3x will be odd. And since 3x is odd and we add an even number to it, 3x plus 12 too will be odd. So this means that that the number we'll get at the end will not always be even. So option A is not the answer. If you look at B, if x is even, if you take an even x, if x is even, then that will mean that 3x2 will be even. So 3x will be even. And if 3x is even, and we add another even number to it, it will remain even. So 3x plus 12 will also be even. So that means that the number we'll have at the end will not always be odd, since the important thing here is this always here. So we're looking for a condition that every number we'll get will satisfy. And let's look at C. It said a multiple of 3. Okay, so at the end, when you start with x, you end up with 3x plus 12. And if you look at 3x plus 12, you see that it's factorizable. You can factorize this to be 3 into brackets x plus 4. And since we can factorize number will end with to be 3 into x plus 4, that's 3 times another number. That means that the number we'll end up with will always be a multiple of 3. So option C will always be satisfied. The number we'll end up with will always be a multiple of 3. So C is the correct answer. But I'll just go ahead to show why D and E are not correct either. So let's talk about B. So you also agree with me that if we have one counter example, that's if we can find a number that we can test with and a condition doesn't work, then we can say that that condition does not always work. And for D, one number we can test with can be 2. So if x is 2, the number we'll end up with will be 3 times 2 plus 12, which will be 6 plus 12, which is 18. And 18 is not a multiple of 5. So option D does not work either. And for option E too, we're going to use a counter example to show that it's not always true. So if the number we pick at the start is 3, then at the end, we're going to end up with 3 times 1 plus 12, which is 3 plus 12, which is 15. And 15 is not a multiple of 6. So option E is, so the number we get will not always be a multiple of 6, since we already have the counter example. And with this, we can conclude that yes, the answer will always be a multiple of 3, and none of the other options will always be the case, regardless of the number we choose. So that's how to go about solving this question.